Revealed how a millionaire's simple apple purchase led to an incredible, life-changing meeting. Jack Turner woke before dawn, just like every other day. The familiar sounds of the world waking up surrounded him, but solitude wrapped around his heart. He stepped outside into the crisp morning air, feeling the cool bite that promised a sunny day ahead. His fruit stand awaited, a solitary outpost against a backdrop of suburban homes with neatly trimmed lawns. It stood there like a proud soldier, ready to greet the world, but Jack felt its weariness. Hours of scrubbing, stacking, and polishing produced a colorful array of fresh apples, the sweet scent wafting like a warm hug and triggering memories of laughter shared with his late wife. Each apple, a symbol of hope, whispered to him, "You can do this," for Emily. As the sun climbed higher, families filled the farmer's market. Jack smiled at the familiar faces neighbors he'd seen every Saturday. They exchanged pleasantries amid the bustle. This was their rhythm. But today, something different stirred in the air. Just as Jack was arranging the ripest apples, he spotted a figure. Laura Wells, the millionaire mogul who seemed like she belonged in a magazine instead of this humble market, was headed his way. Jack's heart raced. Was she really coming to his stand? He braced himself for the encounter, battling insecurity while slipping into his small-town charm. It felt surreal when she smiled and asked for an apple. The world around them faded as they began to talk. Laura, with her polished demeanor, spoke of seeking authenticity, while Jack poured out his hopes, dreams, and the struggles of running a fruit stand. He saw a flicker of interest in her eyes, but doubt battled excitement within him. Was she judging him? Each word, each aspiration hung heavy between them, marking the divide of their lives. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As she took a bite of the apple, the glow of her world clashed with Jack's gritty realism. Ideas sparked in Jack's mind about revitalizing his stand, but with every word, he unknowingly sidelined the most important relationship in his life, his daughter, Emily. Her laughter echoed like music, but the recent bullying at her school cast shadows on their shared joy. Later, with his heart weighing heavy, Jack sought Laura's support again, an unexpected companion in troubled waters. Together, they envisioned a charity event that could bridge their worlds, uniting a community fragmented by perception. Yet as plans took shape, insecurities reared their heads, exposing raw emotions they hadn't faced before. Would the charity event heal or deepen divides between their vastly different lives? With the big day drawing near, Jack forced himself to confront what truly mattered. Could this collaboration, born from a simple apple purchase, really change the trajectory of his life and Emily's? Would it be enough to mend what had been broken? The stakes felt higher than ever, and Jack didn't know if his dreams could withstand the weight of reality. Jack stood in front of his fruit stand, anxiously rearranging the apples for what felt like the 100th time. The morning sunlight glinted off the polished surfaces, but his mind wasn't focused on their shine. With every passing customer, his thoughts drifted not to the fruit, but to Emily. He recalled the hurt in her eyes from last week when they had talked about school. The bullying had chipped away at her bright spirit like the stream's current eroding a riverbank. He didn't just want to help her. He needed to be there for her. As the clock ticked on, Jack's phone buzzed in his pocket, jolting him from his reverie. It was a message from Laura. Ready to meet for lunch? We can finalize charity event details. His heart skipped a beat. This wasn't just any lunch. This could change everything. Jack felt the weight of hope and fear mingling in his chest, each one fighting for dominance. With a deep breath, he replied, "Absolutely. See you soon." The drive to the cafe felt surreal as he grappled with a whirlwind of emotions. He thought about how their shared passion for this charity event had unexpectedly forged a bond between them. Laura wasn't just a business mogul, she was someone who cared, At least it felt that way. But could they really meld their worlds together? And would his insecurities make him falter when he needed courage the most? As he arrived, Jack spotted Laura seated at a table by a window, her auburn hair catching the sunlight just right. There was a warmth about her smile that made everything feel possible, yet the moment he reached the table, doubt crept in again. What if I don't measure up? He thought, as she stood to greet him. Jack, I'm so glad you could make it. He settled into a chair, noticing the slight tremor in his hands. Laura dove straight into their plans, her excitement infectious. I've been thinking about how we can promote not just the event itself, but the larger cause. If we get the right sponsorships, Jack nodded along, but in the back of his mind, images of Emily lingered, her laugh ringing hollow amidst the chatter of ideas. What if we bring in some young volunteers? He suggested, trying to weave his daughter into the fabric of the project. It could help those kids who feel unheard. Laura looked at him, eyes sparkling with intrigue. That's brilliant. Young voices could attract attention and make it more relatable. As the conversation flowed, Jack felt himself opening up. He shared snippets of Emily's struggle, how she used to dance around the house, and how now silence had dulled that spark. I can relate, Laura said carefully, her expression softening. When I was younger, the pressure to succeed felt almost overwhelming. It can be hard to find your way through it. For the first time, Jack saw a glimpse into her world. Their struggles didn't seem so different now. Their passion for helping others formed an invisible thread joining their lives. As the meal wound down, Jack felt a swell of determination. We have to make this event not just about raising funds, but actually changing lives, yours and mine. But he hesitated, the words feeling heavy on his tongue. What if I can't get Emily involved the way she needs? What if this doesn't help her? Then we make it help her, Laura said firmly. Let us create something memorable together. With excitement blooming inside him, Jack glanced at his watch, time slipping through his fingers. They had made strides today, but beneath that excitement lurked an unsettling thought. What if she pulls out once she sees how interconnected all of this gets? As they stood to leave, Jack thought of the charity event ahead, wondering if he could truly keep their momentum and his daughter's heart afloat. As Laura smiled and clapped him on the shoulder, he couldn't shake the feeling that both hope and fear were poised on a knife's edge. Jack, I think this could be big, she said, her voice sincere. Yeah, he replied, heart racing. But what happens if it isn't? With that, they parted ways, Jack contemplating the path ahead. Could he balance these burgeoning ambitions without losing what was most precious to him, his daughter's laughter? He had a feeling the answer might come when he least expected it. The vibrant colors of the fruit stand blurred as Jack drove home, thoughts still tangled in the buzz of lunch with Laura. He felt a surge of anticipation alongside a gnawing anxiety. That meeting could lead to something monumental for the charity, and yet, he worried deeply about Emily. Would this event actually help her? Would it even matter? He pulled into the driveway, the familiar creak of the gate grounding him. The house loomed in the afternoon light, a mixture of warmth and anxiety. He stepped inside, greeted by the soft murmur of the television in the living room. Emily was curled up on the couch, her fingers tapping the rhythm of a song on her knee, but her gaze was distant, lost in thoughts only a child could understand. Hey there, kiddo, Jack said, forcing a smile as he dropped his bag by the entrance. She looked up, a flicker of her old spark igniting briefly before fading again. Hi, Dad. How was your day? He asked, crossing the room to sit next to her, a gentle hand on her shoulder. Fine, I guess. Her voice was soft, barely a whisper. He could see the shadows of hurt still hanging around her. Just fine? He prodded gently. You know, I had an idea about something that could be pretty exciting. Emily's brows furrowed slightly. Like what? Jack took a deep breath, heart racing as he steered the conversation towards the charity event. I met with Laura today, you remember her? The one who runs that big company. Well, we're planning a charity event, and I thought it might be cool if you got involved. Some kids from school can help us out. Her lips parted slightly, doubt flickering across her face. Why would they want to help? They probably think I'm weird. No way. You're special, Em. He insisted, animated. There are kids out there who could really benefit from knowing your story. And you could help other kids who feel alone, just like you. For a moment, silence wrapped around them. Then Emily's head dropped back to her knees, a defeated look crossing her features. But what if they still don't like me? What if it's just another day of being alone? His chest tightened at her words. He felt trapped between wanting to protect her and needing to push her to confront her fears. Then we make it a day when people see just how incredible you are, he replied, his voice steady. We'll make it a day that helps everyone feel seen. She glanced up unsure. What if I can't do it? Jack took her hand, squeezing it gently. You want to be alone, Emily. I'll be right there with you. We'll have Laura and others too. A small spark flickered in her eyes, but the doubt lingered. Okay, she said slowly, but what if I mess up? Then we'll learn together, he promised, feeling a rush of hope. They needed this moment. He needed to show her that life could be different. Just then, the doorbell rang, slicing through their conversation. Jack stood up, glancing down at Emily, whose apprehension was palpable. Stay right here, he instructed, heading towards the door. When he opened it, he was surprised to see Laura, her cheeks flushed from the sun, a bright smile on her face. Hi, Jack. Sorry to drop in unannounced, but I thought it might be cool to discuss some ideas in person. His heart raced anew, excitement flooding his mind. Yeah, of course, come on in. I was just talking with Emily about the event. Laura stepped inside, brightening the room instantly. Emily, it's so nice to see you. I was hoping you might join us in planning this. We could really use your insight. Jack caught Emily's glance, uncertainty swirling in the depths of her hazel eyes. Could this be the spark she needed? As Laura began sharing her ideas, Jack held his breath. Would Emily step into the light or retreat back into the shadows? For the first time in a long time, he could feel the weight begin to shift. But could they really make a difference together? The tension in the room swelled, and as words danced in the air, Jack could only hope that change was closer than it seemed. Would Emily embrace the chance to shine? Just outside the window, dark clouds began to gather, as if mirroring the uncertainty within him. The storm was brewing, and soon, everything would transform one way or another. Jack watched as Laura animatedly discussed plans for the charity event. Her words flowed effortlessly, each idea rolling off her tongue like a melody. Yet, amidst her vibrant energy, Jack remained acutely aware of Emily's stillness. The contrast was jarring, like night and day within the same room. Emily, Laura called, pulling her attention back into the conversation. What do you think about adding a talent show to the event? It would be a fantastic way for kids to showcase their skills and feel appreciated. You could even sing. A flicker of interest sparked deep in Emily's eyes, but just as quickly, it dimmed. Her fingers resumed their rhythmic dance on her knee, a clear indicator that she was retreating to her safe space again. I don't know, Emily muttered, avoiding Laura's gaze. What if I'm not good enough? Jack felt bile rise in his throat. He wished he could erase those fears from her mind. I bet everyone feels nervous about showing their talent, but it's not about being perfect. It's about having fun and being yourself, he encouraged, leaning closer. Yeah, totally. Laura jumped in. The important part is just being brave. You know, like being part of something bigger than yourself. It might even help you find friends who really get you. Emily hesitated, chewing her lip. Jack could see her battling those internal storms, trying to reconcile Laura's enthusiasm with her own worries. Look, Laura said gently, we all have something special to share. Your story could inspire so many people. You just have to take a step forward. I promise you won't regret it. Emily finally looked up, a small glimmer of hope lighting her features, but the shadows remained. Jack could feel the weight of that moment, the air thick with expectations. Okay, she whispered, almost inaudibly. Maybe. I'll think about it. Jack couldn't help but smile at her. That's the spirit. Just think of it as practice. You have plenty of time to prepare. They stepped deeper into planning discussions, sketching out ideas for decorations and games, but as they moved forward, Jack's heart grew heavier. Laura's enthusiasm was infectious, But he could see that Emily still stood on the edge of uncertainty, afraid to leap into the unknown. Suddenly, the thunder rumbled outside, reminder of the brewing storm. Rain began to fall, growing rapidly from soft patters to a steady drum against the windows. "That's quite the storm brewing," Laura exclaimed, glancing out the window. "It's almost as if nature is rooting for us." Jack chuckled softly, yet the lingering doubt in the pit of his stomach refused to leave. It felt both exhilarating and heavy. A clash of potential hope weighed against fear. "Maybe we should wrap up for now," Jack suggested, seeing Emily shrink further into herself. "We can pick this up again later." Laura nodded, her bright smile fading slightly as she sensed the shift. "Of course. I'm so excited about this. We'll figure it all out together. Right, Emily?" "Yeah," Emily replied, her voice trailing off as she glanced out the window, her thoughts drifting with the raindrops. As Laura gathered her things, Jack felt pulled to Emily. He moved closer, kneeling so they were eye to eye. "You okay, Em?" he asked softly. She shrugged, her gaze still distant. "I don't know, Dad. What if this is just another failure? It's okay to feel scared. But remember, it's about trying. We'll be there every step of the way." "No matter what happens, I'm proud of you for even thinking about it," he said firmly. In that moment, the clouds outside seemed to part slightly, revealing thin rays of sunlight that peeked through. Was it a sign? Was change on the horizon? Jack held his breath, hoping they could both find a way to shift from doubt to courage. But as he looked back at Emily, the uncertainty still lingered like the storm clouds outside. What would it take for her to embrace her voice? He didn't know, but he was determined to find out. And just as he lingered in that thought, he realized the storm was only beginning. The real tempest of change was yet to come, and it could either engulf them or lead them to something beautiful. Would they be ready? As the rain tapped rhythmically against the glass, a sense of urgency hung in the air. Jack could see the lingering doubt in Emily's eyes, a tempest battling within her. He wondered if the sound of raindrops was a kind of encouragement, washing away the remnants of insecurity that plagued her. "Let us take a little walk," he suggested, trying to lighten the mood. "Maybe the rain will clear our heads." Emily looked at him, her expression shifting into hesitant curiosity. "Right now? In this storm?" "Yeah," Jack smiled, hoping to inject some excitement. "A little adventure never hurt anyone. Plus, we can splash in the puddles." After a moment's thought, Emily nodded, an almost imperceptible smile threatening to break through. They slipped on their jackets and headed outside, Jack holding the door open as a gust of wind sent raindrops flying into their faces. Emily squealed, her laughter breaking through the heavy mood, and she took off running into the street, splashing through shallow puddles, her fears momentarily forgotten. Jack chuckled, following closely behind. There was something magical about watching Emily find a slice of joy in the chaos. The rain soaked them both, turning their laughter into a harmonious melody that danced amid the storm's strength. For a moment, the world faded away, and it was just them, a father and daughter reclaiming their connection. "Okay, Jack shouted over the storm, "how about we pretend these puddles are oceans? We have to jump over the big waves." "I'm not scared," she yelled back, determination shining through her playful smirk. She leaped towards a particularly deep puddle, sending a spray of water flying around them, and for the first time in a while, Jack felt hope rising in his chest. Once they were drenched and breathless, they collapsed onto the porch steps. The heavy downpour continued, but now it felt more like a calming shower than a dark omen. Emily rested her head on Jack's shoulder, a smile still lingering. "Did you see that splash?" she asked, glancing up at him. "I almost made it all the way to the fence. It was epic." Jack laughed, wrapping an arm around her. "Every step you take is one step closer. Just like that talent show. You'll see, you're going to nail it." Emily bit her lip, still inching towards that familiar space of doubt. "But Dad, what if everyone laughs? What if I fail?" Her voice was small, and Jack felt that familiar tug at his heart. Remember what Laura said? It's not about being perfect. It's about being brave and being yourself." "And your story?" That S worth so much, no matter what. Jack could see her flicker of hope re-emerging, but it was quickly clouded again. But what if I can't handle it? What if I freeze on stage? Then you'll freeze. And that S okay too. You'll learn, and I'll be right there cheering you on. You won't ever be alone. Moments stretched, filled with unspoken fears until Emily looked up at him, her eyes bright. So, the plan is just to try? Yes. Try and just be you, Jack affirmed, seeing the weight starting to lift. As they sat in silence, Jack listened to the rain, feeling a new layer of determination grow inside him. Then, suddenly, a bright flash of lightning illuminated the sky, bringing with it a booming clap of thunder that rattled their porch. Emily flinched, instinctively clutching Jack's arm. It's okay, Em. It's just a storm. Just like your thoughts. He steadied her with his voice, allowing the warmth of safety to envelop them both. She chuckled softly, a flicker of bravery in her eyes. All right, Dad. If you think I can, then I'll try maybe. In that moment, Jack recognized the shift that hadn't just come from the storm outside, but a storm brewing within Emily, a chance to rise, even in the face of fear. Just as he felt encouraged, a new warmth blossomed in his chest, knowing they were on the verge of something big. But little did they know, the upcoming weeks would bring challenges they never anticipated, testing the strength of their bond. What would happen when Emily faced not just the talent show, but the unexpected twist that would shake her? Foundations? The weeks swiftly washed over Jack and Emily like the spring rains. Every day brought new patches of sunlight, pushing through the clouds that had once felt so heavy. Jack watched as Emily transformed, her confidence blossoming like the flowers popping up in their backyard. Each time she practiced for the talent show, the dauntless smile replaced her earlier apprehension. They spent hours together, Jack strumming his guitar while Emily sang, her voice gaining strength with every note. But beneath the surface of their shared joy, another storm brewed. Rumors swirled at school, whispered behind closed doors. Emily's friends had been talking about a group of kids who thought talent shows were for losers. The pressure was mounting, and in one anxious moment, it all came tumbling down. One day at lunch, as she sat with her friends, the teasing began. You're not really going to stand up there and sing, right? One boy sneered, laughter erupting from his buddies. Emily felt her heart drop, shame flooding her cheeks like hot coals. The joyful melody of practice faded into a haunting echo, drowned by their laughter. She didn't want to disappoint her dad, but what if they were right? What if she truly was a loser? That evening, Jack noticed something was off as they settled down for dinner. Emily poked at her food while Jack shared stories from his day. The energy between them felt thick, weighed down by unspoken words. Finally, he laid down his fork and spoke softly. You okay? She looked up, tears brimming in her eyes. Dad, what if they're right? What if I really am just trying to be something I'm not? The confession hung heavy in the air, and Jack's heart ached to hear her doubt. Listen, he began, hoping to ground her. Those kids? They're scared. They see you getting up there, being brave, and that terrifies them. It's natural to be afraid, but you have something special inside you. I've seen it every time you sing. But what if I freeze on stage? What if nobody cares? The words came out in a rush, her fear spilling over. Jack took a breath, fighting the urge to fix it instantly. What if you fly, Em? What if you're amazing? Not everyone has the courage to try. He leaned in closer, his tone steady. You have a chance to inspire someone with your story, no matter what happens. The tension shifted. Emily's eyes sparkled with a glimmer of determination as she considered his words. You really think so? I know so, he said, and he meant it. Even if people don't applaud, your choice to stand up there will be a victory in itself. And I'll be there cheering you on. That night, as the stars flickered above, Emily practiced with renewed energy. Jack could hear her strong voice ringing through the house, filling the quiet with defiance. Was it the last of her doubts being washed away? He hoped so. Days turned into a blur of preparation. Emily began to channel her fear into the performance, pouring her heart into each note. But Jack's pride was tinged with unease. He could see her grappling with the weight of expectations not just from him, but from the world beyond their porch. On the day of the talent show, the atmosphere shifted. The air buzzed with excitement, nerves, and a touch of fear. As they drove to the venue, Jack glanced at Emily. She looked ready, yet uncertainty flickered behind her determined facade. "Remember, it's okay to feel scared," he reminded her, squeezing her hand for comfort. "Just be you and share your truth. People will connect with that." Emily nodded, her resolve steadying as they parked. But as they stepped into the venue, the crowd noise roared around them, and her confidence wobbled for a moment. Yet before Jack could say another word to encourage her, she turned to him, her voice steady. "Dad, what if this is my moment?" He smiled, pride swelling within him. "Then live it, Em. Dive in. This is your ocean." As she walked toward the stage, Jack felt a rush of hope mixed with fear, the kind that makes the heart race. A single thought settled in his mind. What if this was the moment that differentiated bravery from fear? But what would happen when the lights dimmed and she stood alone on that stage? Would she conquer her fears, or would the crowd remind her of the shadows that loom beyond the safety of their home? The stage was set, the lights shimmering like 1,000 stars. Emily stepped into the spotlight, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. For a moment, everything slowed down. She could see the faces blending into a blur of eyes and whispers. The noise faded, replaced by a deep breath that filled her lungs with courage. Jack stood at the back, leaning against the wall, holding his guitar close. He knew the song she had chosen was personal, a piece that told her story, one filled with dreams, fears, and a longing for acceptance. His heart raced in tune with hers, a father's pride mixed with the dread of the unknown. What would happen next? Emily glanced toward the crowd one last time, the whispers dissolving into the background. Her hands trembled as she reached for the microphone. "This song, it means a lot to me," she began, her voice slightly shaky but resolute. "I hope you all can hear my heart in it." As she strummed the opening chords, the familiar notes wrapped around her like a warm, comforting blanket. Her nerves began to settle, transforming into energy that pulsed through her. Emily allowed herself to feel, really feel, every note she poured into the air. With each phrase, the fear of judgment began to evaporate. The first verses came out smoother than she expected. Jack could see her shoulders relax, her face lighting up with an infectious joy. The uncertainty melted away, replaced by a fierce determination. The music wielded a power. He had always believed in the capability to transcend boundaries and unite. But not everyone in the crowd was supportive. A handful of faces twisted in irritation, arms crossed tightly over their chests. For a fleeting second, Emily noticed the kids who had mocked her, their eyes enveloped in disdain. A flicker of doubt wrestled with her heart again, but she pushed it aside. She could tell her truth. As the chorus erupted, her voice soared higher, brushing against the ceiling as if reaching for the stars she had always dreamed of touching. Jack felt an intense swell of pride. This wasn't just performance anymore, it was a transformation. It was the moment she was fighting for her chance to shine. In the midst of the song, she locked eyes with Jack, and time stopped. A silent conversation passed between them, a mutual understanding of love and support. He smiled broadly, and that one smile was enough to fuel her tenacity further. Emily knew in that instant that she wasn't alone. She had him always cheering her on. But then, just as she hit a powerful note, a small sound captured her attention. A snicker, followed by a conversation. "She sounds ridiculous," a voice sneered. The sting of those words pierced through her song like a sudden gust of wind. Something in her faltered, and for a heartbeat, doubt crept back in. What if they were right? What if she really was just embarrassing herself in front of everyone? But as she glanced over the crowd, she saw other faces lighting up, nodding to the rhythm. Some even smiled, genuinely moved. There were people listening, people who felt her struggles, her triumphs. With a deep breath, Emily gathered her thoughts and pushed those negative voices away. She poured every ounce of raw emotion into the last refrain, letting it vibrate through her core. The last note hung in the air, a spectrum of silence that felt both fragile and monumental. When the final whisper of sound faded, The room held its breath. Then, like fireworks bursting in the night sky, applause erupted. Some stood, clapping and cheering. Emily blinked, taken aback by the unexpected support. She had shared herself with the world, and they had embraced her. Jack rushed to her side as she stepped off the stage, a look of admiration lighting his face. "You were incredible," he exclaimed, his voice thick with emotion. For the first time, Emily allowed herself to believe in the power of her voice and the strength of her dream. But as excitement flooded her heart, she noticed the sneering group gathering around a corner, whispering again. Their eyes now burned with something darker. Emily's stomach twisted. What would this reaction mean for her moving forward? Would she be able to stand her ground in the face of adversity? The question hung between them, casting a shadow over the bright light of her achievement. Emily stepped off the stage, her pulse still racing from the thrill of performing. The applause lingered like a warm hug, but it was hard not to notice the chill from the group across the room. They were whispering again, their expressions twisted in something that felt dark and old. "Did you hear that?" One of them sneered loudly enough for her to catch every word. "She thinks she's a star." It cut through the joyful haze like a knife. Jack squeezed her shoulder gently, grounding her. "You know what? Forget them. They don't define you." His voice was calm, filled with assurance. Emily forced a smile, but felt the weight of their words lingering in her thoughts. She had fought for this moment, and yet the negativity tainted the celebration. It was as if the applause was drowned out by the echoes of doubt. "Come on, let's get some fresh air," Jack suggested, sensing her turmoil. They stepped outside into the crisp night. The cool breeze whispered encouragement, pulling her from her uncertainty. As they walked along the dimly lit sidewalk, Jack turned to her, his eyes bright with pride. "You really were amazing out there. You should feel proud of what you accomplished." Her heart danced at his words, but she couldn't shake the feeling of discontent. "But what if I can't keep this up?" she admitted hesitantly. "What if I get on stage again, and it's just not enough?" Jack paused, his gaze steadying on her. "You'll always be enough. This journey won't be easy, Emily. But every great artist faces challenges. Remember why you started this in the first place." It struck her then the truth of his words. She hadn't come to seek validation from the naysayers. Singing was about her love for music, the connection to others, and the truth in her heart. With this revelation, a flicker of hope ignited. "I just didn't expect it to hurt," she whispered, her breath catching in her throat. "I get it," he responded, sincerity radiating from him. "But don't let their negativity drown out the voices of those who believe in you. We'll find ways to push through." Determined to turn the moment around, Emily nodded. "Then I'll keep going." But just as they shared a brief moment of hope, a familiar voice broke through the serenity. "Well, look who decided to join the real world," the sneering girl from earlier exclaimed, striding toward them with her friends. "Emily, sweetheart, you really think you can sing?" That was just adorable. Jack stepped forward protectively, but Emily held him back. This was her battle. She had already made a mark tonight. "Adorable? That's a new compliment for me," she replied, keeping her voice steady. "You can choose to see it that way, but I know I touched some hearts tonight. Maybe someday, you'll understand what that feels like." The girl's face flushed with surprise, and for a split second, Emily thought she saw a glimpse of uncertainty in her eyes. But it vanished quickly, masked by a scoff. "Good luck with that," the girl shot back dismissively, pulling her friends away. Jack beamed at Emily, pride written all over his face. "That was powerful. You stood your ground." "I might have a little more fight left in me than I thought," she admitted with a small grin, feeling lighter now. They resumed walking, laughter spilling between them as they shared memories of their musical journey. But as they turned down a darker street corner, Emily's gaze caught the group again, huddled together with glimmers in their eyes. What could they be planning now? With every step they took, the sense of unease returned, weaving itself back into her thoughts. Any excitement felt dim in the face of an uncertain future. Jack's laugh broke through the silence, but Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this fight was far from over. As they reached the end of the block, the warmth of their bond was reassuring, but a chill swept through her. Something told her that the whispers would not go away quietly. What was their next move? With a blend of strength and trepidation, Emily wondered if she was truly ready for whatever lay ahead. The evening air felt heavier as Emily and Jack walked on. Despite Jack's encouraging laughter, a knot tightened in Emily's stomach. She stole a glance back at the group. The sneering girl was watching her, her expression unreadable. "Do you think they're plotting something?" Emily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The thought twisted in her mind, dark and unsettling. Jack's jaw tightened. "Let them. Bullies thrive on fear. We just need to focus on moving forward." She nodded, but doubt flared again. What if their words somehow overwhelmed her? The dreams she carried now seemed at odds with the shadows like the ones lurking in the corners of her mind. They'd pushed her once, what would they do if she took the stage again? Would their sneers redefine her confidence? "Let's stop at that cafe," Jack suggested, breaking her thoughts. "I could use a cup of coffee." Emily followed him, grateful for the distraction. The warmth of the cafe wrapped around her as they stepped inside, the rich aroma of brewing coffee mingling with the chatter of the evening crowd. Bright lights twinkled overhead, and a soft tune played in the background. Jack ordered them both lattes, and as they waited, Emily found herself drawn to the small stage in the corner. A sign above it advertised an open mic night. Her heart raced, longing mixed with apprehension stirred inside her. It felt like a siren call, a place where she could face those insecurities head-on. "What do you think?" Jack followed her gaze. "You should totally do it. Show them what you've got." She shook her head, biting her lip. "And give them more ammunition?" "I'd rather not." The shadows of doubt crept back as she imagined herself standing there, vulnerable, the room silent except for the whispers of the people who had not believed in her. Jack stepped closer, his eyes bright and steady. "Emily, you're stronger than you think. You've already faced them. Look how far you've come. Why not take this next step?" His words washed over her, stirring up that hope again. The exhilaration of a performance was there, lingering just beneath the surface. She wanted it, needed it even, but fear still clung to her. What if I mess up again?" she confessed, her voice trembling slightly. "Then you mess up and you try again," he said, his tone firm but gentle. "You're growing, learning. Every great performer stumbles before they soar. Your voice deserves to be heard." In that moment, she felt the truth of his words sink in. She wasn't perfect, and perhaps that was okay. Suddenly, the group she had been worrying about burst through the door, noise and laughter trailing behind them. Emily froze, her heartbeat quickening. They scanned the room and shared snickering glances, eyes landing on her. She stood taller instinctively, feeling the rush of adrenaline. This was it, this was her moment. "Jack, I think I need to do this," she said, her voice steadying with resolve. "Go for it," he encouraged, stepping back to give her space. He lit up with pride, a beacon in the chaos swirling around her. As Emily approached the small stage, the laughter of the group faded into the background. The microphone gleamed under the light, and she took a deep breath, grounding herself in the present moment. But just as she prepared to speak, the sneering girl opened her mouth and called out, "What? You really think anyone wants to hear you?" In that moment, Emily realized that this wasn't just about music or her dreams. It was about reclaiming her voice amidst the noise. She locked eyes with the girl and replied, "You'll be surprised what people want to hear." The crowd shifted, curious now, and Emily's heart raced. They were no longer only spectators, they were a part of this. She moved closer to the mic. The cafe dimmed, but for once, the shadows felt like they were retreating. What would happen next? Emily took a breath and stepped forward, her heart pounding in tandem with her ambition. Would this night become her turning point? Would she find her voice, or would the laughter drown her out? As she began to sing, the cool air felt charged with anticipation and possibility. The moment had finally arrived. Would she rise above the doubts and disappointments? Emily took a deep breath as she gripped the microphone, her heart pounding like the beat of a drum echoing through her veins. The dim light overhead felt warm against her skin, creating a bubble of safety amidst the curious eyes of the cafe crowd. She could still hear the sneering girl's taunt, but it faded into the background noise, lost in a wave of determination that surged through her. "I'm here to share something," she said, her voice breaking through the chatter. "This song means a lot to me, and I hope it resonates with someone here tonight." As she spoke, a gentle hush fell over the room, a collective curiosity gripping the audience. Jack watched from the back, pride radiating through him, his heart swelling with love and support. The moment had come. With the opening chords playing softly in her mind, Emily found her rhythm. She started to sing, her voice trembling but steady, pouring out her heart like a river breaking free. Each note wove together memories, fears, and dreams, the essence of who she was. The lyrics carried her soul, lifting her above the doubts she had battled for so long. As she sung, she caught glimpses of the crowd, some with smiles blossoming across their faces, some nodding along, and others listening intently. For every whisper of doubt that had echoed in her mind, the warmth of acceptance started to drown it out, like the rain washing away debris. The sneering girl's gaze flickered, a surprised glimmer appearing as she crossed her arms more tightly. Emily embraced the feeling of the song, letting it carry her higher as her confidence flourished. With every note, she could feel her shackles loosening. She poured everything into this performance, every disappointment, every moment of fear, until they transformed into pure energy. The song rolled to its climax, and Emily's voice soared, filling the room with a vibrance that pulsed with life, resilience, and determination. In that moment, it was not just about music, but a declaration of who she was and would become. The echoes of a once silent girl now bellowed loudly, touching hearts and igniting an unspoken connection with the audience. As she reached the final notes, the entire cafe erupted into applause. Cheers filled the air, drowning out every fearful whisper that had threatened to pull her down. Jack rushed forward, beaming with uncontainable pride, enveloping her in a fierce hug. "You did it, Emily," he cried, his voice thick with emotion. "You were incredible." Tears pooled in her eyes as she gazed into his. "I actually did it." The lightness in her heart felt indescribable, a transformation she had never thought possible. But then, the sneering girl stepped forward, the surprise in her eyes slowly morphing into something softer. I didn't know you had it in you. That was actually really good." Emily met her gaze, feeling her own transformation ripple through her. "Thanks, I appreciate that." The smile that broke out on the girl's face was tentative, almost a realization of how much volume a voice can carry, even one that had faced doubt. Behind her, Emily's friends began to cheer as well, one of them calling out, "We should start a band." Something in that moment clicked, a spark of camaraderie igniting in the air, dissolving old divisions. As the applause continued, the weight of expectation melted away. Emily felt light, anchored not in fear, but in the understanding that she was enough. She was a bright star in her own right, unbound by anyone else's perceptions. From that day forward, the transformation didn't end at the cafe. Emily and Jack took the lessons they learned to heart, embracing each new challenge together. With Laura's support, they created more opportunities for community events, drawing people closer in ways they'd never imagined. Emily even started leading music workshops for kids in her school who once felt invisible. They united in song, laughter, and acceptance, a beautiful tapestry woven from their shared stories. Jack took immense pride not only in Emily's growth, but also in how their bond blossomed through adversity. They laughed not just about the splashes made during their puddle adventures, but found strength in supporting each other through every storm life threw their way. Emily turned into a beacon of hope for those around her, realized that courage was about embracing vulnerability and daring to share her voice. She no longer feared stepping onto a stage or taking risks, knowing that her truth was impactful. As the sun set each evening, painting the sky with shades of orange and lavender, father and daughter sat on the porch, sharing dreams and laughter, united in the knowledge that they could face anything together. In that comforting stillness, Jack wrapped an arm around Emily, whispering, "Always remember, fear is just the distance between where you are and where you wish to be." And no matter what, I'll always be here cheering you on. Thanks, Dad, Emily replied, her smile radiant in the twilight. The horizon whispered promises of tomorrow, and they were ready to meet it head-on.it had all started with a simple Apple purchase, a small moment that birthed new beginnings, transforming lives with hope, resilience, and love. And as Emily looked forward to her new adventures, she felt more certain than ever this was only the beginning. Now, if you found inspiration in Emily's journey and the power of authentic connection, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel, because you need to stay on this transformative journey together. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these powerful stories alive. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your insights matter. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. Let us lift each other up, and together create even more ripples of change.